The sign of the four blood moons. What is this teaching of the four blood moons? The teaching says that when four consecutive blood moons fall on Jewish feast days, a major event affecting the Jewish people will occur. Four blood moons will occur on Jewish feast days between April 15, 2014 and September 28, 2015. It is believed that some great event will occur during this time that will change the world forever. Obviously, this time lies just ahead. Let's ask ourselves, first of all, what is a blood moon? A lunar eclipse occurs when the earth passes between the sun and the moon. This blocks the sun's rays from reflecting off the moon as normal. However, some of the sun's rays curve around the earth, causing the moon to appear red during a total eclipse. Because of its vivid color, a total lunar eclipse is often referred to by NASA as a blood red moon. What is the history of the blood moons? A total lunar eclipse producing a blood moon occurs at least twice per year. Most of us have seen the moon when its appearance has changed to red. Something else we need to know. What is meant by a tetrid? NASA calls four consecutive blood moons, normally about 6 months apart, a tetrid. From 1 AD until 2013 AD, there have been 55 tetrids. So it happens fairly infrequently, but nevertheless not too infrequently. However, when you talk about tetrids matching feast days, this is rare. The teaching of the four blood moons states that when tetrids match Jewish feast dates, a major event affecting the Jews will occur. The total number of tetrids matching Jewish feast dates from 1 AD until 2013 AD is only 10. 7 of those 10 tetrids occurred before 1492. Only 3 tetrids matching Jewish feast days have occurred since 1492 in over 500 years. Now, 3 tetrids on Jewish feast days have happened in the past 500 years. Those dates were 1493 through 1494, 1949 through 1950, and 1967 through 1968. Major events affecting the Jewish people have occurred in close proximity to all of these 3 tetrids. Let me just list those for you. In 1492, just before the tetrid of 93 and 94, the Spanish Inquisition occurred. This was a huge event in Jewish history. In 1492, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain gave the Jewish population a mere 4 months to convert to Catholicism or leave the country. It is estimated that between 165,000 and 400,000 Jews fled the country during this 4-month period. As many as 50,000 decided to stay, converting to Roman Catholicism. Now, the Spanish Inquisition sought to punish Jews who said they converted to Christianity but were not really sincere in their conversions. Publicly, they practiced Catholicism, but privately, they still were practicing Jews. Torture was used to elicit confessions from these false converts. After confessing, many of them were then burned at the stake. There's a great deal of treachery in this. First, you tell people they have to convert or die. Then, when they do convert, you decide to kill them anyway because their conversions are not sincere. This is what happened in the Spanish Inquisition. Now, there's another interesting twist to 1492 because that's the year Columbus discovered America. Many historians now believe that Christopher Columbus was secretly Jewish. They believe his voyage to the West in 1492 was his way of escaping the Spanish Inquisition of that year and consequently resulted in his discovery of America. In Simon Wiesenthal's book, Sails of Hope, he argues that Columbus's voyage was motivated by a desire to find a safe haven for the Jews in light of their expulsion from Spain. The studies of Carol Delaney of Stanford University led her to believe that Columbus was a deeply religious man whose purpose was to sail to Asia to obtain gold in order to finance a crusade to take back Jerusalem and rebuild the Jews' holy temple. Columbus's voyage was not, as is commonly believed, funded by the deep pockets of Queen Isabella, but rather by two Jews who converted to Catholicism to avoid death, and another prominent Jew, Louis de Sant'Angelo, and Gabriel Sanchez advanced an interest-free loan of 17,000 ducats from their own pockets to help pay for the voyage, as did Don Isaac Abravanel, rabbi and Jewish statesman. Okay, now let's go to 1948. This is the next tetrid coinciding with the Jewish feast days. Of course, all of you know that Israel was reborn on May 14, 1948, just before the tetrid of 1949 and 1950. After the destruction of Jerusalem by the Romans in 70 AD, Jews were driven into exile for the next 1,878 years. The Jewish people were sifted through the nations of the earth, yet they retained their identity. After Hitler's horrible Holocaust, the Jews were finally granted a homeland by the nations of the world. On May 14, 1948, the modern state of Israel was born. The next tetrid occurred in 1967 and 68. In 1967, the Six-Day War broke out. The city of Jerusalem was reunited, now for the first time under Jewish control since 70 AD. This is so important because God said that He would place His name in Jerusalem. For 2,000 years, religious Jews had been praying 3 times each day for the restoration of Jerusalem and the rebuilding of the temple. Well, it happened in 1967, again a major event coinciding to a tetrid which harmonized with Jewish feast days. Now, let's focus on this point and let's not miss this. All 3 of these tetrids were on Jewish feast days, and in close proximity to their dates, major Jewish events occurred. Now, the only 3 tetrids matching feast days in the last 500 years have all fallen remarkably close to major events in Jewish history. Now, it's about to happen for the 4th time. There are 4 blood moons just ahead. According to NASA, they will occur on April the 15th, 2014, October 8, 2014, April 4th, 2015, and September 28, 2015. We have to ask the question, do these 4 blood moons coincide with feast days? They do. April 15, 2014 is Passover. October 8, 2014, is the Feast of Tabernacles. April 4, 2015 is, again, Passover. September 28, 2015, the Feast of Tabernacles. Some prophecy teachers are declaring boldly that something is getting ready to happen that will change the world forever in the proximity of the time of this 4 blood moons coinciding with Jewish feast days. Now, some people ask, should we pay attention to the moon and the stars? Back in the book of Genesis, the first book of the Bible, chapter 1, verse 14, God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years." Notice, let them be for signs. So it's not necessarily pagan to observe the signs. Now, we know that we're not into astrology, but at the same time, the scripture does say that the firmament was placed there, and let them be for signs. Oh, by the way, the wise men were led to Jesus by a star. Matthew chapter 2, verse 1. Now, when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, "Where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him." Later on in the same chapter, verse 9, when they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them till it came and stood over where the young child Jesus was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. So God has at times used stars, used the heavens to indicate things to mankind. Now, let's talk about the prophecy of the moon being turned into blood. Joel chapter number 2, verse 30 through 31 says, "In the end time, and I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord come." Revelation 6:12 says the same thing. "And I beheld when he had opened the 6th seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood." We have these prophecies of the end time that the moon is going to be turned into blood. We have to ask ourselves, however, does this literally mean the moon is going to be turned into blood? It's not reasonable to believe the entire moon is going to become blood. The prophecy undoubtedly means that the moon will take on the appearance of blood. It's going to be one of those signs in the heavens. So, what can we expect to happen? If these 4 blood moons that are scheduled just ahead of us now, April 15, 2014 through September 28, 2015, if these 4 blood moons, since they do coincide with Jewish feast days, do they have a special meaning for us? Well, if the pattern of the last 3 tetrids continues, then we can expect some major event for the Jewish people. We have to ask ourselves, so is there a big event on the horizon? The Bible teaches that an event is coming just ahead of us now that will be the greatest prophetic fulfillment in the last 2,000 years. I'm talking about greater than the rebirth of the nation of Israel, greater than the reunification of Jerusalem. The Bible prophesies a peace treaty between Palestinians and Israelis. And when this peace treaty is signed, it will mark the beginning of the final 7 years to the Battle of Armageddon and the second coming of Jesus Christ. Now, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry
You have been watching a portion of Sign of the Four Blood Moons by Irvin Baxter. To get the entire 1-hour lesson, call 1-800-363-8463 or click the link below.